Howdy folks, and welcome back to the StockCharts TV studio here in a cloudy but still warm Redmond, Washington. My name is Grayson Roze. I am the Chief Strategist at StockCharts.com. As always, delighted and thrilled to be with you here in the studio. We're going to have some fun today, digging into my own process, digging into one of my own routines out of my own weekly toolkit, something that I do every single Sunday. I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this. It's become actually one of the most important things that I do. It's also one of the most fun because you get to look at some individual stocks, which we always love to do out there to understand what's happening in the market. So we're going to dive into my top 25 stocks out there in the market routine. I'm going to show you how to set this up. We're going to create a list together. It's going to be filled with the top 25 largest stocks out there in the market, ordered by market cap. We're going to then review those in 3 different ways. So we'll jump into all that. But today's episode is really inspired by something, I don't know if you guys have heard, but this little company called NVIDIA, I think that's the name of it, just crossed a $4 trillion market cap. A crazy thing to see. Of course, we've got a host of trillion-dollar companies out there in the market these days, but NVIDIA crossing $4 trillion for the first time finally. Crazy, crazy, crazy to see. Now, this routine is a great way to see that and to see all of the other trillion-dollar companies and some of the other largest ones out there in the market. It's a great way to bundle those all up and review them. Make sure that you're focused out there on the largest stocks in the market. The reality is, when we think about those largest top 25 stocks in the market, they add up to about 28.5, a little over $28.5 trillion in total market cap. You think about the impact of those 25 companies. You think about the capital that they are drawing, the influence that they have on the market's direction, most importantly. It's incredibly important to understand how those 25 companies are doing, where they're heading, which ones are trending higher, which ones are trending lower, which ones are outperforming, which ones are underperforming. All of that, understanding what's happening with those top 25 names out there in the market, absolutely crucial. Now, I started doing this a couple of years ago because I realized that I was doing it even sort of without thinking about doing it. Naturally, going through the markets, looking at so many charts out there every day and every weekend and everything, I realized finally that I was looking at these stocks sort of one at a time, haphazardly. And so I finally said, you know what? I need to make a routine out of this. I need to make sure that I'm looking at the largest stocks out there in the market all in one go, all in one sitting, as part of my weekly routine. So that's kind of where this is all coming from. Inspired by that $4 trillion cross by NVIDIA, but a routine that I've been using for quite a few years now, and it's a very easy one to set up on StockCharts. So without further ado, I say we jump over to the StockCharts platform. We're going to start on our index members page, which is a great place to kind of see this. I want to make sure that you're aware of that page as well. Then we'll create that list. We'll go through this together. And like I said, you're going to see 3 different ways to review these charts, 3 of those favorite ways that I want to make sure you're aware of. So let's jump over to StockCharts and get it going. All right, guys, so for starters, I want to make sure that you're aware of our index members page. Now, we're going to do this whole routine out of a chart list, which is important, but this is a very, very powerful page and a great place to see exactly what we're talking about here today. Top left corner of the site, make sure that you are aware of that menu. Look for that index members link. What this is going to do is allow you to see any of the major groups of stocks all in this kind of comparable format. So a giant table here with all of the different factors that we want to think about. We've sorted this, in this case, by market cap. So you can see right up there at the top. But I mean, look down this list, you can see how huge some of these companies are. And the idea, again, with this routine is to make sure that on any weekly basis, you are reviewing the largest, most impactful, most important, most kind of market-driving stocks that are out there. We're going to show you how to do this. If you want to kind of see it on the fly, though, this page is a great place to go to see it. You can sort by any of these factors, but sort by market cap and then sort of breeze through this list. And if you want just a quick view, quick hit of what everything is doing, you can actually hover over the different symbols in any of these tables and get a little mini chart right there. You can click the name, or you can open up this menu to see those in any of our different formats. So a really, really useful tool here that I like to point out to people, and it's a great fit with the show that we're doing here today. And by the way, you can see this for a whole host of indexes, not just the S&P 500, but any of the other S&P groups, also the NASDAQ 100, the Dow, we've got the S&P TSX Composite in there as well, and you can sort by sector. So a great, great place to see this. But what we're going to do, we're basically today going to take the top 25 names out of this list. We're going to put those into a chart list, and it's going to make it really easy for us to review those charts, again, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever sort of time frame works for you. We're going to make it easy to review and study all of these companies all in one chart list. So to do that, we're going to start from our market dashboard, our members dashboard, I should say. So we're here on the dashboard. I'm going to hit the chart list button in the top right corner and scroll all the way down to our chart list panel. Now, of course, if you're familiar with chart lists, if you're familiar with your StockCharts account, this is where you can find all of the different lists in your account. Good opportunity to pause and remind you, if you are not currently a StockCharts member, these are the tools you get to take advantage of by signing up. So sign up for that free 1-month trial. Make sure that you're taking advantage of these high-level tools. Today's show is going to be a really great example of that. Here in the chart list panel, up in the top right corner, there's a little button that says New. Now you can use this to create a new chart list on the fly. This is one of the easiest places to do it. So what we're going to do is S&P top 25 stocks. We're going to create a new chart list in our account. So once we hit that new button, it's going to take us to the edit page. This is where we can start to fill in this list. Now, this is actually a great opportunity to also just kind of see how chart lists work. Maybe if you're new to StockCharts, you don't create that many chart lists for yourself. So when you create a new chart list, of course, you get a couple of prompts here to add some symbols to that list. A chart list is basically a watch list or a folder where you can save symbols and you can save charts if you're not familiar with what it is. So first up, we're going to want to add some symbols to that list. Now, of course, if we were creating something else, we might want to add one symbol at a time or maybe type in a couple. Technically, you could take all of the symbols that are the top 25 stocks out there in the market and type them into this box one at a time. But we've made it much, much easier for you with this From Group tab. Now, similar to the menu that we looked at on that index members page that had a couple of those different key groups, you can select from any of those key groups out there in the markets and quickly add all of the symbols from that group. So if you want to add the entire S&P 500, if you want to add the NASDAQ 100, if you want to add the Dow stocks, this is how you can create a chart list and actually do that for yourself. We're going to leverage this little feature for our routine that we are setting up here today. Again, we're thinking about the top 25 stocks out there in the market. We want to put those into a chart list and be able to review those on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, whatever cadence works for us. So in our case here, we're going to select S&P 100. We're going to hit that From Group tab, select S&P 100 from that menu. That's going to be the largest 100 companies out there in the market. Then we're going to hit Add Charts. Now you can see really, really quickly, we've now got a list and we've got all 100 stocks from the S&P 100 loaded into that list. Now, this is going to be alphabetical. So it's useful, great, nice to have the S&P 100 all there in a list. But if we want to get this sorted by market cap and review those in order from the largest companies all the way down the list, we need to do one extra step here. We're going to jump over to the summary page. And when we jump over to the summary page, we're going to see something that looks pretty similar to that index members page that we took a look at just a minute ago. This is kind of that data table view where you can see all of the symbols in that list. And you've got a ton of different columns here. If you want to turn on even more, of course, you can hit that columns button, turn on or turn off any of the different columns that we have available here in the summary view. You've got lots and lots of options. But one little trick that we can do, in addition to sorting this table by any factor that we want, in this case, we're going to sort it by market cap from top down. So we've got everything kind of in order. We've got NVIDIA there at the top again. One little trick that you can do is sort this table, then scroll down all the way to the bottom of this page, and you'll notice that down here at the bottom, there's a little button that says Number in Sorted Order. Now, we're going to do this with market cap, but if you've got any of the other factors in this table that you want to sort by, it's going to work for those as well. Performance or earnings date or scooter ranking, any of those other things that are in this table, it's also going to work for that. In our case, we're going to sort by market cap, and then we're going to number everything in this list in that sorted order. So when we hit Number in Sorted Order, we're going to get this little pop-up that says, are you sure you want to continue? Now, when you hit Add, that's going to go up here and add numbers to the name of all of these different entries. So when we scroll back up to the top, you can see that the order of the list hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed now is we've got numbers in each of the names of these symbols. So we've now got the S&P 100. We've sorted that by market cap. We've added numbers to the names using that little button at the bottom of the summary view. And now, when we review this list it's going to make sure, we're going to sort of make sure that it's in that sorted order, in that market cap order. Typically, when we review a list in StockCharts, everything is ordered alphabetically, or in this case, numerically. And so when you do this little trick to kind of sort a list by a certain factor and then number everything in that list in that sorted order, it's going to keep that numerical sort order as you go through and review all the stocks in that list. Now, I'm going to leave all 100 names in this list because if we want to go and update this process, again, market cap values are moving around, and so the numbers are going to move around a little bit on us. I'm going to leave all of the stocks in this list. But if you wanted to be really picky and you wanted to only get the top 25, we could do one additional step here. We could hit the edit button up at the top, and we can actually select everything in this list and then go down and find number 25, which is going to be Coca-Cola. And if we uncheck everything above there and then delete everything that's not in the top 25, we're going to end up with a list that's just the top 25 names. That's going to keep it nice and kind of clear cut for you. It's going to be a list of just those largest 25. But if you do want to kind of resort this and start it from scratch as those market cap values move around, you're going to have to sort of start the process all over by re-adding the S&P 100, resorting, renumbering, that kind of thing. So instead, what I'm going to do is just leave all of the rest of the stocks in there. But because we've got those numbers in here, and as we scroll through this list, which you're going to see in just a second, it's going to make it really easy to know once we've reached the top 25. So again, you got all 100 here. We can see 025. That's going to be our 25th stock in the list. Coca-Cola, worth about $300 billion in market cap as of today. So now that we've got our list, now that we've sorted that and we've numbered everything according to the market cap values, of course, the next step is to review those. Again, I mentioned that this is a routine out of my own process. So this is something that I like to do on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's fun to check in during the week as well, but this is something that I make sure I do every Sunday. As I'm going through my market analysis routines, setting myself up for the trading week that's coming up, reviewing my portfolio, reviewing all of my scan results and all that stuff, one of the routines that I always make sure I carve out some time for is to review these top 25 stocks. The reality is 25 charts is a pretty small number. It's an impactful number in this case because, again, the total market cap of this being over 28 trillion, a huge, important group of stocks. But to actually sit down and review those top 25, it really only takes a couple of minutes. It's a great place to find new tradable opportunities when you see things that are breaking out and moving higher. Obviously some fantastic names in there that you could actually own. But if you want to just kind of think about the health of the market, think about the direction of the market, again, these 25 collectively are so important that when you add them all up, you review them, it gives you a great sense of kind of how the markets are doing and where the markets are heading. Not unlike looking at the 30 stocks in the Dow, which you could actually do with a very similar process here. Create the list, fill it in using that from group menu, and you could have all of the 30 stocks in the Dow right there in one chart list. So anyways, I'm going to leave the other ones in here. We're going to review these, though, in a couple of different ways. Now, to do that, we're going to look for this View List As menu up at the top. So we've created our list. We got all the symbols in it. We're now going to open that list in a couple of different formats. The one that I want to start you with is going to be CandleGlance. CandleGlance is our little mini chart view. Again, because we've numbered these in that sorted order, they're all going to be ordered from sort of top left to bottom right. They're going to be ordered in that market cap order. So as we scan through this list, sort of from left to right, top to bottom, we know that we're actually reviewing all of the top 25 stocks out there in the market, and we know that we are doing that in order of market cap, which is a fascinating thing. CandleGlance, though, is our little mini chart function. So this allows you to see all of these stocks, technically all of the S&P 100, but all of these stocks in kind of one view. If you just want to sort of quickly glance through and see the direction of these top 25, this is a great way to do it. I like to use this during the week when I'm just kind of breezing through and saying, hey, how are some of those larger names out there? How are the Mag 7 doing? How are some of the other largest names out there in the market doing? This is a great way to go, reviewing kind of everything in one mini chart view. Obviously, you don't have as much detail, but you do get a ton packed into a very compact view here. And again, if you're just kind of breezing through, glancing at these charts, this is a great way to go. So first and foremost, I would highly encourage you to take a look at these in CandleGlance mode. Once you do that though, and again, if you're doing this maybe on a weekly basis, I'm doing this on a Sunday, I really want to drill into the full size charts. I really want to be able to study these things a little bit more closely. So I'm going to use the ChartList View, kind of second down from the top. Now again, everything is going to be in that sorted order. So all I have to do, because I've set this up with the continuous view here, sort of that continuous scroll look, all I have to do is scroll through from top to bottom to see all 25 of these stocks, all in that market cap order. Now, my charts are going to look a little bit different than your charts because these are using my default style. So my default chart is a 5.5 year or 7.5 year weekly style. So you can see that weekly style there. A couple of moving averages. I've got relative strength up at the top and then the RSI down at the bottom as well. So a little bit of a longer term view. I like to start with that longer term view, and then anything that's sort of piques my interest on the longer term weekly, I can jump down to the daily and kind of zoom in from there. But starting with the longer term view and narrowing into the shorter term is kind of the way that I'd like to set up my StockCharts view. So again, these charts are going to look a little bit different. Anything that you have set though on your default chart, that's going to get saved with these charts when you create that list. From here, though, all I do is scroll through this list. So again, we can see NVIDIA up top. Next up is going to be Microsoft. We can scroll through Microsoft, see how a great Seattle, Redmond, Washington company is doing. We can scroll through. Next up, we got Apple. Next up, we got Amazon. So you can see scrolling through this list, having all of those charts kind of in one place makes it really, really nice. It's a great way to just kind of sit there and review all top 25 of these names. Now, again, with this weekly routine, kind of the purpose of that for me is not to pick apart all of these individual names and spend a lot of time figuring out if I want to trade them. It's more to gauge the health of the market using some of those largest individual names to do that. So I'm scrolling through these generally pretty quick and sort of pointing out anything that's bucking the trend of the market. In this case, we can see that some of the largest stocks out there obviously trending higher, trading up near highs, except for Apple. Not looking too great on Apple, but whenever I see something that is going in a very, very different direction, actually kind of Berkshire at the moment, market making all-time highs and Berkshire having a couple of bad weeks in a row, really, really heavily underperforming. Those are the kind of interesting things that I like to note as I'm going through this routine. It's a pretty fast one for me though, because again, I'm just trying to sort of put all of put the total picture of all of these stocks together to form an opinion about kind of how that is weighting the direction of the market. Tesla one, obviously that's going very, very sideways, not the best look in the books. JPM, gorgeous chart there. So it's an easy routine to just kind of sit here and scroll through these. A really enjoyable part of my weekly review process though. Always enjoy doing this. So doing this in ChartList View, that's kind of my go-to. That's one of my favorite ways to do it. But I mentioned that we were going to review this in 3 ways. We've got our CandleGlance mini chart version. We've got our full-sized ChartList View version. Our third way is from the SharpCharts Workbench. So if you click on the charts, on any of the charts in this list from this ChartList View, or if you are back, we're going to scroll up to the top. If you are back in this summary view, if you click on the name of any of these charts, what that's going to do is take you over to the SharpCharts Workbench. Now here, of course, if you wanted to change chart styles, if you wanted to change any of the different settings, this is a great place to do that. But one of the reasons that I love to point this out is because up here at the top, you can see that we have the ChartList UI that allows you to select a list and select a stock from within. It also allows you to move between the charts in that list. So in this case, you can see that we've selected our top 25 stocks list. And from there, we've selected NVIDIA right up at the top. So we can now get that full-size chart of NVIDIA. And if we wanted to jump into any of the other chart styles that I have in my account, for instance, if I wanted to look at my daily style, I can quickly jump to that style, review this in any way that I want. And when I'm ready to move on to the next one, I've got those little buttons up there at the top, those little arrow buttons that allow me to actually flip through this list. I can also open up this menu and select anything from the list. So if we wanted to jump to kind of where we just were with Walmart, of course, you can easily navigate through this list using that menu up at the top. So a couple of different ways to navigate through that list, but this really is probably the best way to review all of the names in this list. Reason being, it gives you access to your chart styles. So that ChartList View is going to be great if you know that the charts are set up exactly the way that you want to see them, and you just kind of want to scroll through there. Again, if you're creating this list, you can set those charts up, customize them If it's going to be something that you're using, for a long period of time, it's a great way to go. Set those charts up exactly the way that you want to see them on a weekly basis, daily basis, whatever works for you, and then you can use that chart list view to just kind of scroll through. I do like to use this SharpCharts view though, because it again gives you access to all those custom styles in your account. So let's say I'm looking at something like Walmart and I say, you know what, I want to see a longer term view here. We're looking at just a couple of years. I want to jump out to a really, really long term view and see how Walmart has done. Great uptrend, but hasn't really outperformed the market that heavily over that longer period of time. That's something to note, something that's interesting. Being able to jump between those styles like that is always intriguing. Or maybe you're looking at NVIDIA and you say, okay, yeah, we're trading up here at all-time highs on NVIDIA, but how do we look on the really, really short-term price action? Are we seeing accumulation? Are we seeing distribution? How's the volume profile look on this thing? In this case, everything on NVIDIA just looks absolutely phenomenal. Outperforming the market, moving higher, volume looks great, accumulation, distribution looks great. We're seeing money flowing into this thing up near new highs. But point being, again, being on that SharpCharts Workbench gives you access to all of those different chart styles from your account, allows you to really kind of see these things in different ways when you need. And being able to just kind of flip through that list using those little buttons makes it very, very easy. So that would probably be my preferred way to review this list, using the SharpCharts Workbench. Again, create that list, fill it in with the top 25 stocks. You sort that by market cap. Make sure that you add those numbers to the names and then jump over here to the SharpCharts Workbench. You'll be able to review these in kind of any way that you want, flipping through that list really, really easily. It's a great way to go. I've found, though, doing this for many, many years that, again, reviewing those top 25 stocks out there in the market, such a crucial bucket of stocks. It's great to try to review the entire S&P 500, but it is a lot of names. It's great to pick and choose, other smaller names from the S&P 600 or the S&P 400, some of those smaller names out there in the market. But the reality is they're not moving the market in the same way that a $4 trillion company like NVIDIA is going to move the market. So sort of being in tune, being in touch with how those top 25 stocks are trading, it's just a phenomenal way to think about the markets. Kind of a bottom-up approach to thinking about the markets, but using some of the largest names out there that are really going to be the most impactful. Now, I'm talking about the top 25, but realistically, if 30 makes more sense to you, if 50 makes more sense to you, maybe you want to review the entire S&P 100. You like this process, you like the feeling of kind of going through these charts one at a time. Maybe you've got time and you want to review the entire S&P 100. Whatever number works for you, creating a chart list, filling it in with those groups, sorting by anything that makes sense to you. In this case, we're thinking about market cap, obviously, but sorting by any of those factors that make sense to you, and then reviewing those names. A crucial routine. I think if you start doing this, a couple weeks in a row, you'll really get a sense for how helpful it can be to understand the market, again, from the bottom up, using some of those largest, most impactful names out there. It's a great routine. Again, I've been doing this for a long, long time, reviewing these very specifically every single weekend, and I always love the insights that it brings. When you start to see some of those big names, trending in a different direction than the market, it tells you about something that might be coming. Or in reverse, when you see some of those biggest names, people love to talk about the Mag 7 and everything, but it really goes beyond that. Top 15, top 20, top 25, 30. When you see some of those largest names out there in the market, changing direction, it's going to have an impact. So a great routine. Hopefully you bring it into your process. And this chart list feature makes it incredibly easy to do things like this. So hopefully you've seen the power of that on our show today. I want to thank you, though, for joining me here on StockCharts TV. It's always fun to dig into my own toolkit, my own process, talk about some of the ways that I'm using these StockCharts tools and features in my own approach to the markets. Always fun to be here and do that with you guys. Hopefully, though, you've seen some of the power of these different members-only tools, these exclusive tools, really kind of pro-level features that you can have access to as a StockCharts member. So if you are currently a StockCharts member, a great reminder of how chart lists can be used, how chart styles can be used. Again, remember that From Group tab on that edit page makes it easy to create these lists full of some of the most important groups out there in the markets, like the NASDAQ 100, the Dow, the S&P 500, all of those different things. If you're not a StockCharts member, though, remember, go to that homepage, hit that big green button, start your free 1-month trial. We're going to have a sale coming up here, too, the big summer sale, going to be announced very soon. So start your free 1-month trial now. That's going to roll you into the sale time. You'll be able to sign up at a discounted price as well. But start that free 1-month trial. Make sure that you're taking advantage of all these tools and features that we have available on the StockCharts platform. Also, remember, subscribe to the channel. We got so much great content from so many amazing contributors here every single week. So subscribe to the channel, give this video a like down below, and leave us a comment. Let me know what stands out to you from the top 25 stocks out there in the market if you're doing this routine, or what other routines do you have reviewing the markets? How do you like to sift through all those individual names out there? What tools are you using to stay in touch, stay in tune with what's happening out there in the financial markets? Again, my name is Grayson Roze. I'm the Chief Strategist here at StockCharts.com. Delighted, as always, to be with you. We'll be back soon for another edition, but until then, keep calm and chart on, my friends.